Hi, happy Monday, and welcome to Motivational Mondays with Grace. Um, let's see. I have so much going on in my head. To be completely honest, there's a lot going on in life, and I had to really kind of focus on what I was going to talk about today. But what I want to, I guess, expound on today and kind of focus on is something I heard in service yesterday. Um, my first lady was preaching and she was talking about some things, and a part of me wanted to be like, oh, okay, whatever, with a certain part of what she said. But as I thought about it a little more, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And that is something that many of us probably struggle with. So as she was talking, she started talking about how we stop believing what God has promised us. And we pretty much say, hey, if it doesn't happen, I'm fine. And we're lying to ourselves pretty much. It's like, okay, if it doesn't happen, I'm totally fine. But in reality, that is not the case. And I'll take that case in point with me. There is one thing in particular that I know is going to happen for me. I know that it's supposed to happen. I know that it has been promised, all of this. And I got into a point, even talking to people where I'm like, I'm fine. Even if it doesn't happen, I'm fine. And a part of me, that's true. If it didn't happen, I would be okay. God would take care of me. But it had actually more gotten to a point where it was me just kind of covering up the fear that it wouldn't happen. So, just saying, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to expect this anymore. I'm not even going to believe that it's going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and set myself up for it not happening. That way I've already prepared myself for it not to happen. So if it doesn't happen, it won't hurt as much. So that is essentially what I did with this particular thing. I was like, you know what? I will be okay. If it does not happen, I will live and I will still have my life. And again, I will, would, whatever, if it did not happen. But what I was not doing was allowing myself to keep believing and having faith that it could. So the expectation of it happening was no longer there. It was more of a, well, if it happens, whatever. If it doesn't, whatever. But there was no expectation. And in that, if there was no expectation, then where in that could the promise actually rest? And when I say that, it's like, okay, if you're not expecting it, if you just don't believe it, then where could the promise actually come and reside within you? So let's say, I'm trying to make it clear. If I just decide I'm not going to believe, why should it even come to pass? If I really don't care, and these are just the musings in my head. But like when she made that comment, it really was like, oh, wait a minute. I did get to the point where I was like, you know what? I just don't want to believe out of fear that it won't happen. So it wasn't one of those like for real, oh, I'm going to be amazing. Even if it doesn't, it was more so let me just not believe or not expect so that when it doesn't, I'm okay. So my reminder to us today is if there are things that you're supposed to have, if there are things that God has promised to you, don't get to the point where you allow your fear and your doubt and your low expectations to push away that thing that you've been expecting. If it is meant for you, it's going to happen. Now, it might not happen in our time. It might not happen like we want it to happen. We may see everyone else getting what we want. Everyone else. I mean, everyone else getting what we want. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you. And that just means that it is a set time and a perfect time for it to happen for you. So push past that doubt, push past that fear, start expecting again, start believing again, start knowing that it can and it will happen for you, and start trusting God again to give you everything that He said. Even when it's difficult. It can be very difficult. I am here to tell you it can be so difficult. But don't disrespect what God has placed in you because you don't want to expect that it can actually happen for you. So that is my encouragement to you this week. Start believing again. Start expecting again. Start knowing again that everything that has been promised to you, it will come to pass. Don't allow situations. Don't allow negative test results. Don't allow what people say. Don't allow people supposedly getting everything you want and you sitting there watching them. Don't allow any of that to get you off track. Just believe against all odds. And know that it can and it will happen just for you, just like God said. So that's my encouragement to you this week. Remember what he said. Take it off the shelf, dust it off, and believe. All right.